Here we
Oh
go.
my goodness. I think we should just start, Jenna, okay?
Let's do it.
Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you, Jenna Zwagil, for being on this call. I'm so excited. I have the juiciest questions to ask Jenna, and I can't wait. She doesn't know what I'm asking her. It's going to be so much fun. Before we do, I want to introduce myself and her very quickly, and then we're going to talk about money. People are funny about money, and we're going to talk about money today, okay? And money mindset and law of attraction and business, and we are going to cover a lot. So let's dive in. My name is Dr. Erin. I am the success psychologist. I am a high performance mentor and a top leader in network marketing, a coach and consultant, a 7-time best-selling author. And I am so excited to introduce you to Jenna Zwagil. Jenna is the #1 female earner in network marketing in all the land, the whole entire world. She is the author of the best-selling book called Breaking All the Rules: How the #1 Female Earner in Network Marketing Rose to the Top. She's the founder of HempWorks, the #1 CBD brand in the world, and her husband, Josh, and her are the founders of My Daily Choice, the #1 affiliate marketing company in the world, 500 million, soon to be 1 billion. She's the mother of beautiful children, like I said, married, and she was one of the last people to be individually mentored by Bob Proctor, and we're going to get into it. But before we do, I want you to just pause, and in your mind's eye, I want you to think about, what do you first think about, everybody, when I say the word money? What do you think about when I say the word millionaire? What do you think of when I say multi-millionaire? And I want you to just understand that we all have a relationship with money. It comes from our childhood all the way up to adulthood. We all have a relationship with money. And, wealth and abundance come in many, many different forms, and money is one of them. So, Jenna, I've heard Oprah say she's been poor and she's been rich, and rich is better. I've heard that money doesn't solve all your problems, but it'll solve your money problems. And I've also heard that money is the result of who you're becoming. And so can you first talk about what your relationship with money has been in your life as a child, maybe as a young adult, and now as someone who earns more than $1 million a month?
Yeah, for sure. So I knew pretty early on in my life that I was not going to be okay doing a 9-to-5 job. And I knew that there were other ways of making income that didn't involve being stuck to a desk or being trapped in a place, or I used to work at Target when I was a teenager, and scanning everybody's things. And I'm like, no, there's no, like, a robot could do this. Like, there's no way that this is how I'm meant to put my creative energy into, And so for me, money was just like, how can I get to the next level of freedom? It was really, that's what it was about for me. Like, I didn't feel like doing menial work was going to be the answer to long-term success. I knew that I was going to have to create something that maybe didn't exist yet, or, I was going to have to use my brain a different way to create the income so that I could stay in that flow of creation. So I guess early on, I knew there was a better way, but after I had become an early adult, I got flipped upside down a million times, like I don't understand these kids that can stay in their parents' house until they're 30. Like, because when I was 18, I was like, my sentence is up, I'm out. Like, I didn't care if I had a plan. I was just ready to get out there. I don't care if I made mistakes. Like, I just needed to be free. And because of that, being very young and being on my own, I came really face to face with what it meant to have money problems. I was like, my ideas are bigger than my income. Like, this is a problem for me because I want to do all these things, but I have this limitation. Money was the first thing that I realized that, I either had to operate within my limitation of the income I currently had, or I was going to have to expand and find another way to create to earn it. So when I first met Josh, I think I was 28 years old. I had 10 years of being an adult. And I had got to the point where most people, I feel like, is their end goal. My credit score was really good. I was paying just enough on my bills. I had a higher salary that I thought was going to be good probably for a long time. I think I was making anywhere from 80 to 100 grand a year. And I was like, I think I'm doing okay, but at the same time, I also didn't really have a great relationship with money, because at that stage in my life, I knew that it was a limitation for me, and it wasn't a tool that I could use. I remember going to the mailbox with Josh. We used to live in the same apartment building, but different floors. We were like, let's date, but not like go all in. We'll be just like half in until I really know who you are. So we had separate apartment buildings or separate apartments in the same building, and we would go get our mail together. And he would open up his mailbox and it was like, check, check, check. And I would open up mine and it'd be like, bill, bill, bill. And I'm like, how come, like, when I open my mailbox, I'm met with this, pile of bills over here, which I don't have the money for. And how come you open yours and you have all these checks and you don't even need the money? I was like, what is this? So he's like, well, I expect there to be checks. You expect there to be bills. And I thought, man, I need to learn some things. That was kind of my first realization that money's energy, and it's something that has to be wooed. It can't be something that you just are chasing. It's something you have to attract.
Ooh, so my daughter, I'm teaching her that she's 20 and she's like, my rent's due. So can you send over some energy, please?
Money's energy, right? Sprinkle it over here, please.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So that's amazing. It needs to be wooed, not chased. So years ago, I heard this saying and it would hurt my heart because I didn't know what it meant. And I think I do now, but it was, money is the result of who you're becoming. And the Erin a couple of years ago might have said, well, then that means I'm not good enough. And what's wrong with me? And why does Jenna get the money and I don't get the money? And what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And now I've realized, how to think about that differently, and that it's more of, am I a match for it? Not, am I good enough? But what do you think about that concept, or what have you found out about that concept in your life, that money is a result of who you became?
Yeah. Well, you see, when you place the power outside of you, then you're always living from circumstance to circumstance. And when you look at somebody like, they can earn it, but I can't, you're giving them power, but you're denying the power within yourself. And so as long as you continue to live through your life, giving power to the external, you're never going to be able to change your income or anything else in your life, because you're dependent on external forces versus taking the ownership that I can create the same thing, or I can create something even better. Really, it's just it's a mindset limitation. It's something that it's a paradigm we've built up in our own minds subconsciously through past experiences. So yeah, it's not even really a money mindset. I mean, it is, but it isn't. It's more than having a deeper understanding of yourself. The more you understand yourself, the more you understand the power that you have naturally. And when you understand the storehouse within you, you can go get anything you want.
Yes, I have recently really integrated into my nervous system this idea that money is not my supply. Money's just the exchange, the medium, right? That the infinite source, God, the universe, is my supply. And so it's unlimited. It just happens to come in the form of money. I mean, people used to trade sheeps and goats, and now we trade money. And by the way, we don't even hold the money really anymore. So I don't know why we don't understand it really truly is energy. But for the people that are listening and say, okay, I got to know myself. I mean, you and I could do, 2-week-long workshop about how do you do this, but maybe just a nugget of like, what would you want them to know about themselves? You said, once you know who you are, the game changes. What would you want people to know?
Well, when I coach people, or the first thing that I like to ask them, is what is your personal goal and what is your professional goal? And I also like to ask them, and why can't you have those things right now? And when they tell me why they can't have those things right now, I understand what paradigm they've built up in their own minds. And once I understand the paradigm they've built, I have to kind of re-educate them that, no, you learned that because of an experience as a child. That's not really something that was meant to carry with you this whole time. That's just something that you've learned. So consciously, you have to decide, you have to understand that you're a spiritual being having a physical experience, and that whether you're religious or not, it doesn't really matter, because these are just like the laws of nature. And the sooner you can get in harmony with that spirit within, the quicker the results will come in your life. But if you're fighting against that spirit within, then you're always up at a resistance. You're going upstream. It's never going to be easy. It's always going to be difficult, no matter what you try to do. So it's kind of hard to explain because people have become so far removed from the spirit within that they don't even recognize it anymore. And really it's the inner calling. It's the inner calling that says, man, what if I could do that? You know, that little voice that we normally just immediately shut down. We've been trained to shut it down, but that little voice, that's the spirit within seeking further expression. The spirit within is the source of all creation, right? And the source of all creation is always seeking further expansion. So that's why when we run a 6-minute mile, we want to run a 5-minute mile. You know, that's why we want to get to the next level. We always are looking for the next rank. And it's interesting because without that understanding, you may be following the spirit unconsciously, and unconscious competent, for instance. You may be in flow with in harmony with the universe, but not understand really what it is about. So you may be accomplishing things and then you get to super fulfill it and you realize you're not fulfilled. Why? Because you're chasing the expression of your spirit without understanding it. So you're not consciously directing it. And so the sooner you can get in harmony with yourself. See, people that come down with depression, anxiety, all this stuff, it's because they are unaware that they are unaware of the power within them. Right? So yeah, the sooner you come in harmony with that, the faster and the easier things become. And honestly, it's like, Bob says, when I realized, when I studied magic, I realized there was no magic in it. Once you learn how the trick is, done, you realize it's not really a trick at all, or it's just a trick. It's not magic. But when you think about how the universe works, it really is magic. That's where the real magic is. And it's crazy. I mean, the way it really works is you get in harmony with that. You open your mind to it. And it's like, you ask for a sign, you'll start seeing signs along the way. It's the craziest thing. We had somebody, it's almost like you're sending a message into the universe. Whatever you're sending out is coming back at you. What you are seeking is seeking you in return.
Wow. Everyone's heads are going, oh my gosh, I want to know this way. That it tees up next to my next question in a great way. I always say, most of business, most of your success in life comes because of what's going on between these 2 ears, right? These 6 inches here. And there is a saying in the law of attraction that if you can hold it in your mind, you can hold it in your hands. And it's really this universal law that Jenna teaches and knows, the law of cause and effect, that, if you want to know the kind of thoughts that are going on in your brain, just take a look at the results that are in your life. Just take a look around at your life and say, okay, that's my thought. That will tell you what you're thinking and what your thought life is. Can you speak a little bit about the power of the mind and our thinking, and this idea of, if I can hold it in my mind, I can hold it in my hands?
Yeah, absolutely. So we become what we think about most. We become what we think about all day long, and some of us are unconsciously thinking. Mental activity does not constitute thinking. So we think in pictures, and the mental picture that you're holding in your head is majority, whatever that dominant thought is what you're actually creating in your life. And so if you have constant worry or doubt or fear or any negative emotions, then you're going to be manifesting that in your life, right? Because your brain's like an electronic switching station. It's a receiving and sending station that basically connects your thought, which is a form of energy, into infinite intelligence. And so your thought is sending a signal out and into the universe, and the universe doesn't care. It's immoral. It doesn't care what you're planting. It doesn't care if you're going for something positive or negative. It's no bias. The creation's up to you, right? And so if your thoughts are worry and negativity and doubt or scarcity or jealousy or envy or all these negative emotions, anger, then that's the seedlings that you're planting in your life, and it will manifest in some way. Sure as it'll get dark tonight, right? And alternatively, if you put abundance in there and love and gratitude, right? Gratitude is actually the energetic force that keeps us connected. You see, Jesus gave a sermon, or I don't know specifically what the sermon was. I'm not like an expert in the Bible, but he fed the 5,000 with the fish, right? Oh, sorry, the parable of the talents. I'm sorry, I'm mixing my Jesus stories up. And he said, basically, I gave you gifts. You know, if you don't use your gifts that I gave you, I'm taking them away, right? And that was the whole purpose behind that. Like there's another quote that Bob talks about, and he says, God's gift to us is more talent and ability than we can ever hope to develop in this lifetime. And our gift to God is to develop that talent and those gifts, right? And so we're all given the ability to create what we want. We're all given the ability to choose the direction of our life. We are all given that God-given ability to manifest that which we desire. But if we're not holding it in our mind through our will, which is a higher mental faculty, if we're not exercising the willpower to hold that mental image steady long enough to see its manifestation, then it cannot manifest. So we think in pictures. So I challenge anybody that I'm working with to really just sit down, relax, sit in your favorite chair, whatever, light a candle if you have to, stare at the candle, really practice that will, but also let your mind just kind of go wild outside of the limitation of what you're used to. This is where the best ideas come from. It's just beyond what you thought was possible. It's in the infinite, you know? And so I always say you got to tap into that, because if you can tap into that, you can get all the answers and all the solutions and all the, you know, new ideas and things that you need to really take your life and your business to the next level. So, yeah. So I don't know. I don't remember what the question was, but
no, I love it, Jenna. You know,
yeah.
I resisted, for lots of reasons, I resisted meditating for like a good 48 years. So I'm 49. I had a good run. And this last year I've learned how to meditate, and I've learned that the stillness is, like you're saying, it's like pregnant with possibility. It's like limitless. It's like full, the void is actually full of the cosmos. It's like living in opposite land, you know? And so I'm wondering, something I've learned to do or experienced is I have held in my mind's eye that which I desire so much that I actually believe it's true. I don't have the physical representation of it yet in my life, but there's a knowing that I never felt before. I know I will be a multimillionaire. I know I will live in Cabo with my husband. Like, I just know it. And when you know it, so did you have that experience? Do you constantly have that experience now? Is that what you learned to do?
Yeah. So I'll give you guys an example. We last weekend, Josh and I, we went away for the weekend, which we rarely ever do because we have 4 kids and multiple, you know, businesses and things to manage. But we went away and we really just got to mastermind, you know, just create space. It's so important. And you know, I have to do that regularly, because when you're an entrepreneur, like, just get used to having a lot of problems, right? Because, you know, we used to joke when we were broke, we're like, man, remember that? Because like all we had to worry about was money. Like that was so easy to figure out. Like figuring out money was just this little problem compared to all the other things that unfold as you become, you know, further down your entrepreneurship journey. So when we have a problem, it isn't just like, yeah, we're going to mastermind and think about it, but it's also releasing it, releasing your problem out there into all possibilities. The moment you become rigid about it and you're like, well, it doesn't fit into this box of understanding, it doesn't fit into this, it doesn't fit into this, that's when you kind of shut it off. And so you have to take your ideas or your problems, I think you got to tap into that, you know, you got to tap into that infinite intelligence through meditation or creating space or, you know, whatever. But yeah, I don't honestly know how to operate without it, but I get the hunch comes back to me. It's not always right away, you know, sometimes it's a day or 2 later, you know, whatever. But I know that if my job is to take my problem to the source and then let it go. Now I'm relaxed after that. I have to have the faith it's going to work out, because here's the deal. Law of opposites says that for every, you know, up there's a down, for every in there's an out, for every problem there's a solution. If you have a problem, there is a solution. There cannot be any other way. There are no problems that don't have solutions. There are no math equations that don't have a solution, right? So if you know that, you don't have to stress about it. You know, you can release it and expect that it's coming, and you just have to wait for the right timing. The right timing is what we don't know. But I will tell you this: how you figure out the timing is this. Your manifestation gets delivered in the physical world the moment that you've served the amount of people that you have to serve in order to transmute it into money.
Say it again, Jenna.
Okay, so that's how you figure out the timing. So the moment you've given the amount of value required of you is the moment you receive it back in monetary value.
Oh,
So you can't stress about timing if you're not doing anything, if you're not taking any action with your idea, if you're not putting the cogs in motion, if you're not putting the wheels in motion, then you can't expect it. You have to have an inner knowing that even if you don't know how, the plan will be delivered. And once it's delivered, you got to put it in place so that you create enough value. You have to always create value. This is a law of compensation, right?
yes.
There's no
Yes.
receiving without giving, right?
I'm realizing more and more that my greatest business accelerator, growth accelerator is patience and faithfulness and taking aligned action while I patiently allow the how. And so what Jenna's saying is the how do I do it? You actually allow the how. I call it honoring the nudge. You drop down, you tell source what you want, and you wait. And sometimes you wait 2 minutes and sometimes you wait 2 weeks, and then you honor the nudge when you get it and you make your body move. You know, that's what a body embodiment is. Take a thought and to make your body move. Embodiment. Take a thought and make your body move. So let me ask you 2 more questions before we end. What would you like us to know about money? What thought or belief would you like us to know about money? Because you know that if we knew it, it would radically transform our life in the most beautiful, profound way.
Yeah. Well, I would like to teach everybody how to earn a lot of money, because not that I think it'll solve a lot of their problems. I think they're going to have to solve the problems before they earn the money. And I think most people look at it like lottery ticket, like in a selfish way. They look at money through the ego, and because they look at money through the ego, they can attract it. And so if you want to earn a lot of money, you have to figure out what problems you're going to solve. Right. So every single person, wherever they are right now, has a field of expertise in one area or the other. Everybody's good at something, right? Whether it's baking apple pies or doing laundry without turning your whites blue, that's a talent that I haven't mastered yet. There's like, it doesn't matter where you are, everybody has a talent or an ability or something that they can use already where they're standing right now. They don't have to say, well, once I start this business, then I'll have the right, materials. No, all the raw materials are already there, right? So there's a song that I played. It was my walk-up song for convention. And it was like, everything that you want is already here. So think about that for a minute. Everything in the universe is already here. It's all living on a lot of different frequencies, different vibrations, right? And so all we have to do is get in harmony with that which we desire. We're the variable. So if you want more money in your life, then you have to develop a money consciousness. You have to solve as many problems as you can. I had a girl I did a coaching call with yesterday, and she's like, I'm a special needs parent, but I'm also a nurse, and I don't know how to do this MDC business. That was her whole thing. Like, how do I tie this all together? I said, your expertise is in having a special needs parent, but the problem is you didn't get a life insurance policy when you were young, right? The problem is you didn't save enough money when you could have, or you maybe couldn't have saved money. And so her problem is how do I take care of my son after I'm gone? That was her problem. And I said, why don't you create the program for parents like you where it doesn't exist yet? Why don't you create the business, the legacy business, to help support these special needs kids after you're gone? If that program doesn't exist yet, why don't you create it? Let MDC be the back end fulfillment of that. She's like, that's it. That's what I needed. That's all I need. So you take anybody from any situation, you can find out what their expertise is right now and what value they can add to the world right now. What is their biggest problem they're having that maybe hasn't been solved yet? And are there other people like that? And if you can figure that out, you have a business plan. MDC is the back end fulfillment and the manifestation of that which you desire. We are just fulfilling that. We're the vehicle of that. But you have to have your own creative ideas surrounding that on how you're going to build your business.
Absolutely incredible, Jenna. My last question. you got to sit at the feet of Bob Proctor. We don't have that opportunity. What would he want us to know about wealth and money?
He would want you to know that there's no end. There's no end to it. It's infinite. There's just because somebody has money over here doesn't mean that's the result of why somebody doesn't have money over here. It's not a competition system, it's a creative system. So if we run out of all the cash in the world, there will be a new means of money. There'll always be a new means of that. So he would just say to keep your mind, your heart, and open. Keep it all open, because be open to receiving the ideas you need to create it, and to not judge those that have it, because your income is a direct reflection to the amount of people you've served. And so if you really want to make a lot of money, you got to serve a lot of people.
Jenna, we are so grateful. That was a life masterclass in 27 minutes. Thank you for choosing excellence so the rest of us can benefit from it. And much success to everyone on this call. Thank you, Jenna.
Thank you so much for having me. We'll see you guys.
Bye.